This is Becoming a Blockbuster YA Author, the series that will guide you through writing and publishing a hit young adult or middle grade novel, and will train your brain to think like a best-selling author. Point of view, or POV, pertains to who the book's narrator is. In young adult and middle grade novels, first person is common, so like I open my eyes, as well as third person, like she opens her eyes. Either one of these is great, and there's no right answer. Some agents and readers don't like first person, and others think that young adult works best in first person. So you can't please everybody, so just pick whatever you like best. The important thing when writing young adult and middle grade novels is that you have to get deep into the protagonist's thoughts and feelings. Readers need to feel their reactions and understand their interpretations and internalizations. If you pick first person, it's easier to immerse yourself in your protagonist's head and describe the story as they see it. You can't describe what another character is thinking, and you don't know what they're doing if the protagonist can't see them, so you're less likely to make POV mistakes. With third person, you have a bit more freedom to be a narrator instead of writing the protagonist's stream of thought, but you will have to put a bit of effort into making sure you don't distance yourself too much from the protagonist's perspective. It's easier to accidentally describe something that the protagonist can't actually see, because you're describing it from a removed perspective. Even in third person, staying close to the protagonist's thoughts is important for YA. You still want to describe things in the character's voice, as the character experiences them, not as a distant unnamed narrator. So even if you're writing in third person, try to make the narrative voice like the protagonist's. Consider this line. He opened the door to find Sarah standing on the doormat. He flushed. For YA and middle grade, you can be a bit more expressive. He opened the door and, oof, Sarah, right there. Her brown eyes bored into his soul, sending a wave of heat into his cheeks. So try to immerse the reader in his train of thought, instead of being a narrator telling them what's going on. There's also a distant third-person POV, where you take more of a narrator approach and don't write in the protagonist's voice. But for YA and middle grade, I don't recommend it. And for the same reason, I don't recommend an omniscient POV. Omniscient is when you get into every character's head instead of staying inside the protagonist's. Sometimes this is called headhopping. So in one moment, you might describe the protagonist's thoughts about something, and in the next line, you're in another character's head, revealing their thoughts to the reader. So you don't want to do this. You want to keep your narrative voice attached to one character's perspective. Note that an omniscient point of view isn't the same as writing multiple POVs. You can totally have chapters that alternate between two main characters, but in each chapter, just make sure you stay inside that character's perspective and you don't jump into the other character's head. So a deep POV is important. It's a guideline for YA and middle grade, and it's considered correct in the current literary market. So how do you get a deep POV? The main idea here is to write in the character's voice and perspective, like in the example I gave. In the handout included with this episode, I've included a few examples to show you the difference between a deep POV and a distant one. A final note on what tense to use. Past tense is traditionally the most popular way to write a book. So I went to the park, or she went to the park. But for YA and middle grade, present tense is also very popular because it keeps the action immediate and the prose tight. Either one is great. The Hunger Games and Divergent are written in first person present tense. Twilight is in first person past tense. Harry Potter and The Maze Runner are in third person past tense. All of these were blockbusters. So whether you're writing in first person or close third, past tense or present, it's all correct, and you should do whatever works best for you. For free guides, worksheets, and to apply for personal coaching, go to blockbusterya.com.